What's going on, drinking buddies? We got a brand new podcast for you. Just a few minutes. But real quick, I hope everyone's staying safe out there. I hope that if you're participating in the protests that are going around the country, that you're doing it in the safest fashion humanly possible. Shit's crazy right now. And do everything you can to stay as safe as you can. Shit's wild. 2020 continues to get crazier and crazier. And I appreciate the fuck out of you to take some time out of your week to use this as a distraction from what's going on in the world. I'm going to keep putting out episodes as long as I can. I wasn't sure I was going to put out an episode this week just with what all's going on around the U.S. and around the world, but I felt the need to help provide a distraction if you need it. So, that being said, got to do the ad reads real quick because, money. And, stay safe out there, everybody. First and foremost, we are brought to you by the video versions of ANWD Drink. The video versions are available on Vimeo for 99 cents an episode or $6.99 a month. Gets you unlimited streaming of all the episodes. I appreciate the fuck out of you if you pick up a video version and the money goes directly to me every month. And I put a lot of work into the video versions. I'm working on trying to improve the lighting with the video versions. I know a few people have gotten back to me and said that my screen's a little dark. I'm kind of limited on what I can do with lighting in the office setting where I've been recording the remote episodes, but I'm working on it. I'm going to do everything in my power to improve it. That being said, the video versions are still a lot of fun, and there's a bunch of old school video versions, so check them out at www.anwd.net/videos. Once again, that is www.anwd.net/videos. Another exciting thing I'd like to talk to you about this week is me being a Twitch streamer. If you hadn't heard, since the pandemic started, I've been Twitch streaming. I've been playing a lot of video games online. Come hang out. Check out the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/MattFandSlayer. It's a lot of fun. You come hang out in the chat room if you're on Xbox or PC. We can play some games together. Appreciate the fuck out of you. Throw me a subscription. And if you have Amazon Prime, it costs you nothing but a few minutes of your time to do it. So once again, that is www.twitch.tv/MattFandSlayer. And last but not least, we are brought to you by an old school fucking sponsor, our friends at Vinyl Me Please. Vinyl Me Please is the Record of the Month Club, the best damn Record of the Month Club. In fact, Vinyl Me Please features one album that's essential to the modern vinyl collection. Each record is pressed exclusively for Vinyl Me Please, and it has features you can't get anywhere else. Things like bonus tracks, inserts, color variants, and comes packaged with a 12x12 album-inspired art print and custom cocktail pairing recipe. I've been talking about Vinyl Me Please for a long time, and they're so awesome. You get awesome art, custom vinyl, and a little recipe to wet your whistle. All important things right now. And Vinyl Me Please isn't like Record of the Month clubs of old. It's month to month, no strings attached, cancel anytime. It's not like those old school record clubs that are probably still hounding you trying to get money from you from when you didn't buy a CD in the 90s. So check it out today at www.joinvmp.com/ANWD. Once again, that is www.joinvmp.com/ANWD. And now, on with the show. My guest this week is a real interesting dude. Michael Casey is a magician, but he's also a scientist. He is actively working on the vaccine for COVID while still performing magic on the side. It's just a weird mix. Real interesting mix. We had a super fun conversation talking magic, science, old school wrestling, music, a whole lot about movies. I mean, we definitely geek out about movies during this episode. I had a blast having Michael on. Be sure to check out his magic and support the good causes of him trying to find a vaccine so we can get back to normal. And that being said, sit back, relax, pop a cold one, and enjoy this episode with magician and scientist Michael Casey.
Thinking that they just might be right. I cannot wait for this the Twin Peaks return.
Nice. I still haven't had. I should binge that. I got the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did. Well, I watched it all before, right up into the last 2 episodes, and I was like, I'm going to save it. And then I ran out of my subscription to Showtime, and I was like, oh, fuck. Like,
it's horrible.
Okay. And then I realized after I've had Showtime that I forgot it was still on there. And so the other night I treated myself. I'm like, I'm going to watch those last 2 episodes. And then I was like, fuck. It was so good. It was a pisser, but it was good, you know?
Hey, I'm just happy Showtime allowed Lynch to do crazy shit as Lynch does.
You know, everybody always gives David Lynch that fucking leeway, and then they're really upset about the leeway they give him, like ABC. Like, it's like, I don't know if you heard the story about Mulholland Drive. I'm such a film nerd, but like, he opened it up with a shot of a woman and their dog taking a crap. And then he took it and recut it and took it to Cannes and won the Palme d'Or or whatever, with Mulholland Drive. I think it was a Palme d'Or. He won something. Maybe it wasn't Cannes.
No, that sounds like something that would win a Cannes.
Yeah, you know, but it was Mulholland Drive. It ended up being Mulholland Drive. And I love Mulholland Drive. It's like the perfect Lynch film, in my opinion. But who knows? What are you in the movies like that?
I am.
Okay. Any personal surreal favorites? Because that's what I'm into.
I'm trying to think of what. See, I like to for surrealism. I like Jarmusch.
Oh, dude, he's so good. Dude, he is so good.
Because it's not so surreal. It's just like one weird step off from what should be like. Well, that's just weird. It should make sense.
Well, I feel like have you seen Mystery Train?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's one of the early Jarmusch films. It's got Joe Strummer in it from The Clash, which is rad. And then Steve Buscemi, I think, is in it. It's got a bunch of people in it. But then, like, at one point, this woman from Italy is trying to go to stay at this hotel, and Elvis, his ghost, appears to her when the train goes by at midnight, and he's going like, well, what am I doing here? And she can't even speak English. And then it just goes away, and it's like never mentioned again, but it's so funny. If you get a chance while you're in quarantine, totally check out Mystery Train.
I will definitely check it out.
Never changed. Joe Strummer plays like a hotel clerk at this hotel. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's from like 1990.
Nice.
Maybe 89 or something like that.
Yeah, I got first turned on to Jarmusch, I think, through a random rental of Dead Man.
Oh, Dead Man was good.
I really enjoyed that movie, but I was a teenager when it came out, and when I first saw it, I was just kind of like, huh? What?
Yeah, what just happened to me?
This is a Johnny Depp Western, right? What?
Sort of. It's good. And Jarmusch is so good at tackling like all those really crazy things about like foreigners, like seeing America through the eyes of foreigners. And there's a lot of that in Mystery Train with the Italian lady. And then there's this Japanese couple, and they're like going on this tour of Memphis because that's where it takes place. And then they're just constantly like the Southern people are just chipping away at their like Southern things. And they're like trying to keep up with the language, you know, and stuff. And the guy, instead of taking pictures of like Sun Studios or Elvis's Cadillac, he takes pictures of like the telephone and like the bed sheets. And then his girlfriend asked him at one point in the movie, she's like, why do you just take pictures of these weird things? He's like, well, these are the things I won't remember. Like, I'll remember seeing Elvis's car and going to Sun Studios, but I won't remember what color the telephone was. And I was like, this is so cool.
That's a great observation. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would never remember that.
Jarmusch for you, though, man. He's so good at that. Like, looking at things through the eyes of people, I think that normally wouldn't think about things invertedly, you know, and especially as an American filmmaker, I think he's good at that.
Oh, definitely. I walked into Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai not knowing it was a Jarmusch film, saw it in theaters.
How did you like that?
Oh, I love Ghost Dog. I absolutely love that movie, but it was still like, there are so many parts of that movie was just like, huh?
Yeah.
Like the fact that the mafia is in debt to everyone.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, and Forrest Whitaker, right? Like, is so good as this like street samurai. It's priceless. It's such a great film, I think.
Oh yeah, and the long Wu-Tang Clan, the RZA did the whole soundtrack.
Yeah.
The score is perfect for it.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jarmusch, so good. Yeah, I could go on. Jarmusch, David Lynch. Who else do I like that's kind of weird? Oh, I watched Quarantine's been great for like catching up on movies. Terry Gilliam.
Oh yeah.
That dude. Oof,
I just
man.
rewatched 12 Monkeys the other night.
Oh, how was it? And a rewatch.
Oh, great. I mean, I love that movie. That's another movie I was not old enough to see in theaters and snuck in to see.
Oh man. Sadly, I went to the premiere of that one. Funny story. I went to see, I was probably like 20 at the time, maybe 2021, and went to this dollar theater. This is going to be a weird story, but you said it's like a bar, so this would be a bar story.
This is what we're looking for.
See, Now and Then, this movie with it was like a coming of age story about these women that had grown up together with Rosie O'Donnell, a bunch of people like that, and it was a dollar theater, but school was out, so like all these like hoodlum ass kids were in to watch this like Karen level white girl movie, and I was there with my wife at the time, so I was just going for that. And then it was kids were being loud, and like the white people were telling the kids to shut up, and then words go back and forth, and all I did was kept sliding down in my chair because I didn't want to get hit by the things that were being thrown, but I wanted to finish a movie. And what I didn't realize is I was so skinny at the time. I was on like 120 pounds, but right at where your ass crack and your leg is like where the seat was for me. And then I guess my legs had fallen asleep and I didn't realize it. So in the middle of Now and Then, this white lady level movie, this brawl breaks out in the theater. And then I was like, we need to like go. And so I go to stand up to like go to the door, and I like collapsed. I thought I had gotten shot.
Oh no.
Stabbed in the leg because I couldn't move my legs all of a sudden, but I wasn't thinking about it, So my ex-wife at the time's like carrying me like uncommon valor, like dragging me out of the like theater as my legs regain their consciousness, and we're out, and it was just this mess. And we had complained to the theater. I was like, dude, what's up? Because like nobody, like I guess people were trying to report it to calm it down, and they didn't care. It's dollar theater. But then the vice president of the area gave us these free movie passes, like 8 of them. And 12 Monkeys was premiering the next month. And so I went to the premiere of 12 Monkeys in the theater. So there you go. There's my 12 Monkeys story via Now and Then.
That's awesome. What do you think of 12 Monkeys? Have you watched it recently?
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's based on this old French film, I think, called La Jetée or something like that. It's got a French name, but it means the bridge. And it's a really cool short film told in photographs. So it's these photographs, and it's that guy like kind of going through in his mind, telling you about what the future is like, but then reminiscing about his past through these photographs that are both current and future and past and stuff like that. And I thought they took that and just made this beautiful, awesome thing out of it. I love it. I love the steampunk level of the 12 Monkeys stuff, like in all the science, but I also love I love time travel movies. I'm be very clear about that. A good one.
And there's so many bad ones. And that's part of what I really appreciate about 12 Monkeys is that is how I feel time travel stories should be told.
Absolutely. Like, you show up naked. How can your clothes just come with you? They can't. And so Bruce Willis being naked in the middle of that, like World War I trenches and screaming, and people going, and he's in this photo, is like so perfect.
And he's just confused and
as everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, is this real? People are telling me I'm crazy. And the fact that it's a closed loop. You can't affect the past. It's already happened.
Yeah, it's already done. Yeah, it's already done. He's already killed him. He's already the guy that kills the guy that he saw when he was a kid. It's just like this insane, like circular.
Spoilers for a 26-year-old movie, by the way.
Yeah, if you haven't seen 12 Monkeys by now, I don't know what to tell you.
During this pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic. I could get it if it was like maybe 10 years old, but it's not. It's like it's old enough to vote and probably get somebody pregnant.
Well,
easily.
I mean, technically you could get someone pregnant before you could vote.
True. That's also true. So let's see, get someone pregnant and
it can rent a car. It's old enough to rent a car.
Definitely rent a car. Have a credit card. Rent a car. There you go. That's it. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, I loved it. I think my favorite part was Brad Pitt. I think he really stole the show.
Oh yeah, just the
12 Monkeys.
The hand movements and
his middle fingers where he was doing the
twitches and the
oh yeah. He was top notch. He was. I think he was Brad Pitt at his best. I think that in a similar character, his character from Snatch was good. The pikey,
Mickey
boxer, where you couldn't understand what he was saying, but he was gesticulating, and he was like, "I don't know, dogs," and whatever.
You know, there's a limited edition of Snatch DVD where they have subtitles just for Brad Pitt.
No, really?
Yeah.
I kind of liked trying to figure out what he was going to say.
Well, it was an option to turn it on. It was like a bonus feature where you could turn on subtitles for the whole movie, or you could turn on subtitles for just Mickey.
Oh wow. That's kind of a clever thing, and poor person that had that job. I don't know.
Well, I mean, hopefully they had the script, and they're just like, here, type it off the script.
I don't know. I've turned on subtitles occasionally when I'm kind of not hard at hearing, but like just sometimes, noise. You're like, what did they say? So subtitles always helps, but sometimes it's not what they actually fucking say. So I don't know how these subtitles work. I think QAnon or somebody is like fucking with subtitles and giving us clues and messages. Cause I watch a lot of Turner Classic movies. Again, huge movie nerd. But and then I'll read the subtitle and she's like, I'm going to the bank. And then the subtitles say I went to the bank. And I'm like, wait a minute. It
makes you think of how many foreign movies you watch where you're not actually getting what the characters are actually saying.
Exactly where I was going with this. It was like, man, if they can't even get the English right, like, how are you going to nail these foreign movies? I don't know.
But I still would much rather read subtitles that, even if they're incorrect, than get a fucking dub and then have them say the lines incorrectly.
Oh man, the dubs are the worst. One of the coolest ones, if you like that sort of thing. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. It was this. I think it was a Miike movie. It was a samurai meets cowboy mashup. And the samurais were also samurais, but they also had guns and pistols and they wore cowboy hats. So it was like a mashup. Oh, something spaghetti Western. It was like Sukiyaki Django. That's what it was. Sukiyaki Django Western. If you get a chance, check it out.
I will definitely do so. Speaking of real samurais, I went to the Samurai Museum in Tokyo, and the 1800s samurais kind of actually rock that look.
Oh yeah, dude, that look is badass. And all the westerns from the U.S. were all based on samurai stories and movies. It's like
Magnificent 7 Samurai. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. There's so many of those, and I even liked it when they were mixing them up. There's a Charles Bronson one where he's got to get this samurai. He's a cowboy. He's got to get this samurai on this train or some shit and a sword or something. I don't know. That shit was fucking awesome. My dad is he's deceased now, but he was a huge samurai. So I was raised on all those movies. And then he was the one that, as a young child in the 80s, he was like, this is the same movie. And we would watch back to back Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai. I like the samurai movies better. I think I like the whole majesty of it all, swords and shoguns and lords and shit and castles. Much more mysterious than a dude on a horse that's all dusty and dirty and shit, I guess.
Right, and the samurai have generally more honor than the cowpoke.
Absolutely, yeah. They're not gonna take no shit from nobody, but they're also not starting a bunch of shit. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I wasn't around.
It was justifiable. At least with the lore, it was all justifiable. It
Do you have
was
a favorite samurai movie? I think they renamed it to like repurpose it, and they called it the Ninja Sword, even though it had about this guy that's supposed to steal the sword for this other Japanese mafia guy from these like samurai people that are like living in LA in their commune or whatever, and he has to go become one of them, and he's like a piece of shit, and like and then he learns the ways, and it's oh fuck, Chris. The guy who was in Urban Cowboy that had the like mesh sweater, Scott Glenn, is that his name?
I think so.
I think it's Scott Glenn, but he's like really good. But it's a young Scott Glenn. Let's see. I'm looking this up. Sorry, just if I'm going to give it to you, I might as well
give it correct. I mean, a lot of times I will break out the laptop and do fact checking on the spot too. So
you got to. I mean, you got to.
Well, I say a lot of incorrect things all the time, so I don't really have to. But I like to be correct when I'm unsure. If I'll say something completely wrong very confidently, and if I think it's right, I'll just run with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to sometimes,
Exactly. Speaking of other movies in that kind of genre, have you ever seen The Hunted with Christopher Lambert?
Oh no, not in a long time. I actually saw that when it came out, but I haven't seen it in a while. I've been on a binge, and that's on my list to rewatch. You watched it recently, or is it just
it's been quite some time.
Yeah,
I remember I enjoyed it. It's not a good movie, but I enjoyed it.
Dude, you know what? Here's what I feel about everything: music, movies, all the shit. If you like it, you fucking like it. You don't need to make excuses. Just fucking enjoy it. Somebody else fucking enjoyed it so much to create it. Like, if you want to consume it, consume it. Like, I'll tell you right now, I got a soft spot for LFO's Summer Girls. I fucking hate the song, but I fucking love the song. You know what I'm saying? It's a terrible song, but I fucking love how terrible it is. And now I'm like, I might be an LFO fan. And honestly, 66% of them are dead. So like, one more dies, and then if they're in the canon, they're like, that whole fucking band died from like 1990 to like present day. And I mean, the Rolling Stones aren't even all dead, or none of them. Well, some of them.
One of the original members, but he doesn't count.
Who's keeping count?
I mean, since he died, they've been going much longer than he was ever in the band. That's what I'm getting at. It's like
math. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, so like I don't ever shame people for their guilty pleasures. Like I don't even call them guilty pleasures. I'm like, hey, you just fucking like the movie. It's fine. Like I like a lot of shitty movies. I like a lot of shitty music. I like a lot of good movies.
Oh, I like a lot of good movies. I like a lot of shitty movies. There's a lot of movies that I definitely like through rose-colored glasses that like I enjoyed when I was younger, and now I'm pretty critical on movies. Like that's a giant plot hole, and man, I used to really enjoy this movie, and fuck, that is just a glaring plot hole.
What's one of those that you found a plot hole in that you were like, oh, I can't look into this gaping plot hole?
I'm trying to. I mean, I'm going to probably piss off a lot of people, but like, well, there's every fucking Star Wars movie.
Yeah, well,
And then, especially the last trilogy, oh my God, it's all hot garbage. Every last bit of it's hot garbage.
Like I saw the OG Star Wars in the theater in 77. I was like 3 or 4 or whatever. And I saw it in the theater 12 more times. Like I watched the shit out of that movie and all the first 3. So it was like same. And then for me, no Star Wars for like decades. Like just nothing. There was just nothing. It was just like this great, beautiful, pristine, amber encased memory of awesomeness from your childhood. And then George Lucas rewrites these first 3. Well, actually, he re-released them. Which was
where he fucks over them like, oh, Greedo shot first.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Who cares? Like nerds for sure are like debate over that. But then he released the first 3, the prequels, and I was just like, at a certain point, it was like being in a bad relationship. It was like I couldn't get out, but I had to see it through.
Oh, I saw all the prequels in theaters. I saw all 3 of them. Yeah.
Same. I had to be like, man, the first one sucks so bad. Maybe the second one's got to be better. Man, not much better. And the third one, I was like, this has to be the best one because this is like the Vader birth story or whatever, like how he came to be. Oh no, it was probably the worst one of all of them.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
I mean, of the 3 on the prequels, I actually like Revenge the most, but it's not good. I mean,
No. Well, it's like, I guess the difference between cat turds, dog turds, and mouse turds. You're like, I don't know. They're all turds. Like, just what level of turd can you accept? Hopefully nobody gets pissed off at that. I mean, I think that's factual.
I mean, if they do and they want to call us on the internet and spread clips of this, I'm all about it. All about it.
Yeah, I mean, do it.
I will
these guys are
I have said
a-holes.
much more controversial things on this show, so
Oh, good. Well, well, I'll tell you, one of my soft spot movies as a child is Monster Squad. Have you seen that movie?
I don't think so.
Do yourself a favor, watch Monster Squad. I'm going to leave it at that. It's got Uncle Rico in it from Napoleon Dynamite. Plays a werewolf.
Nice.
Got a bunch of young kid actors. Nobody really famous. Nobody really great. But these kids, this shipment from Transylvania has all these monsters in it in this airplane. And then Dracula gets out of his shit and then releases all the monsters on this small town. So all the mummy and the fucking Black Lagoon creature and werewolf and Frankenstein, they're all out roaming the city, and these kids are the only ones that kind of see it in this Goonies style thing. And then they kind of have to battle the monsters and it's fucking awesome. Like, again, soft spot kid, love it. Has the best t-shirt ever. It says it's a red shirt with a yellow iron on press and it says Stephen King rules. And I guess it's in Maine. So when I was in Maine, I was on tour with the old 97s and I went into this comic book store and they had that shirt. And I was like, I bought one for me. And then I bought one for Rhett Miller, the lead singer of old 97s, because he loves Stephen King. And it was just like a little bonding moment. I was like, you have to watch this movie.
I wonder if Stephen King gets a piece of those royalties.
Probably not.
That's so sad.
I mean, it is his name, but
it's not his movie.
That's also true. Also true. I don't know how that works. Is it the movie's merchandise? But it is his name. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's another Stephen King who's a politician from Iowa.
True. It could be that guy.
It'd be really weird if it was, but
I would use that in court. I'd be like, it's that guy from.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that horrible politician from Iowa.
Yeah, just like he rules.
He rules.
Yeah, he's totally badass. But yeah, that's a fun ass movie. Like, I loved it so much. It's definitely one of them coming of age. Stand By Me meets Goonies meets like all the classic horror monsters in one nutshell. My girlfriend watched it with me, and she was just like, "Really?" And I was like, "Hey man, don't shame me for my fucking movie. Like, it's pretty fucking rad. Like,
right?
Come on, that's a pretty rad movie. It really is." I still think so, but
Yeah. Speaking of like weird coming of age movies, I just watched Eurotrip the other night. So,
how could you like that?
I love that
I'll
movie.
Watch anything. I'll fucking watch anything, and that was a good watch, actually.
Yeah, I was amazed because I have it digitally, so iTunes says what its Rotten Tomatoes rating is on it. I'm like, 47%? Really? This movie's 47%? I mean, yeah, some things in it are rather problematic by today's standards for a movie that's only 15 years old.
True. A lot of change in 15 years, though, man. Come on. For real, though.
Oh, for real. But it was just like, it even got me to dive into where Michelle Trachtenberg is now, because I'm like, oh, yeah, she was really hot.
Oh, what is she? Well, she did Buffy, right?
Yeah, she did Buffy, and she's just kind of like being famous on the internet these days. Yeah.
Really? She's famous on the internet?
I mean, she has verified accounts and still says stuff.
She was in Buffy. I think if you're in Buffy, you just get like a stamp. They're just like, oh, you're in Buffy. Oh, you were vampire number 4?
Boom.
Buffy's icon. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's one of my, I wouldn't even call it guilty pleasure. I've seen it all the way through from beginning to end 4 times now.
So what's your feeling on the difference between the movie and the television series? Because I know...
Oh, I hated the movie.
I know the TV series is much more Joss Whedon's actual vision for it, and the movie is what got made.
The movie sucked. I didn't like it because it kind of... What I thought was interesting, personal, like, hot take, was that the movie was terrible. It was just the vehicle to get a dumb movie out and made. And then I feel like the TV show took it to the depths, the idea of this... like Buffy is you would think to be this a dumb girl cheerleader kind of name, and then she's not. Like, she's just this normal girl, and she has this shitty job of protecting the world that she doesn't she just reluctantly wants to do it. She doesn't even want to do it. She just reluctantly has to do it. And it's her vocation, divine vocation, if you will, to do this thing. And just her dealing with that through the series is just spectacular. I love it, and she's young, and then she grows, and it's like, what is it, 8 seasons? So she grows, from being a teenager to a woman, in the span of the show. And then all those problems that Aaron lie, from high school problems to college problems to
falling in love with the vampire problems. And
I mean, that happens right out of the gate, spoiler alert, but pretty close to out of the gate. But I think, like, if you ever seen that Avatar Last Airbender, that
the Shyamalan
cartoon?
Oh, the cartoon, not the Shyamalan flick.
That's the worst movie. I watched it, I wanted to leave right out of the gate. I hated it. But the cartoon is spectacular. But it deals with the same thing. It deals with, like, this kid who's kind of got the power to save the world, but he's a kid or a young person, and they have to kind of grow into this divine role that maybe they didn't necessarily want, but they have. And this, like I said, there's a reluctancy there that's kind of nice, actually, when you think about it. This reluctant hero.
And so the gun-ho, like, yeah, I'm here to save the world.
Oh, yeah, no, this kid's, like, farting and stuff. I mean, it's, like, great. And I think Buffy's not dissimilar. Like, she's kind of, like, just wants to be a girl and not have to deal with all the BS of being awesome.
As much as the movie version's not great, that is one of the things I did like about what Christy Swanson brought to the role. Is she definitely wanted no part of it in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I remember the scene where it's like, where's your Mark of the Slayer? You mean that mole? I got that removed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. And I think he did have some kind of guidance in writing it, but he was very disappointed in the direction they took it, I guess, as more of a campy comedy, which is comedic. I mean, the series is hysterical, and dark and shit. I think cry-worthy. I think there's a couple times I tear up in that movie or that show every time, even though I know it's coming. I'm like, oh God, so invested in this character again, and they've died so many times, and I'm going to watch it one more time. It's like being Bruce Willis in 12 Monkeys. You're just like, I got to do this again. Okay, here we go. Strap in.
At least this time it's reality. Unlike Bruce, who was just like,
True, yeah. Bruce is fucked. Wasn't he? He was a prisoner too, though.
Yep.
So he wasn't. He wasn't even like, probably had enough existential know-how to, like, understand really what he was doing, aside from, like, being a lackey test rabbit.
Well, and the background they give on him is like he was violent and subject to mental instability before he was.
Oh yeah, before you're shooting him back and forth in time holes
and not doing it right. It's like, oh, shot into the wrong time a couple times.
Yeah, we'll bring you back. How was it? Like, it's fucking crazy. I got stabbed with a bayonet. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, they pulled the slug out of him from World War I. It's like, wait, but how? Huh?
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah. I need to rewatch that again. I saw it's on Netflix, I think. I like that one a lot. There's I don't know, what genres are you really into from a movie perspective?
I'm into thrillers, dramas, sci-fi.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like,
right up my alley, dude.
I really need to go rewatch Children of Men at some point during this.
Oh, I made my girlfriend watch that for the first time. She was like, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, I know. It's so fucking good. I saw it in the theater, and then I bought it on DVD.
Me too.
And then, I watched it a bunch. I think that's a fantastic movie.
It's criminally underrated. Like, how did that movie not clean up at the awards?
Dude, I have no idea. I think it's because it was sci-fi enough for people to be like, meh, it's not some fucking turn of the century bullshit or whatever they like to give awards to,
Yeah, but I mean, they could have set that story in today. I mean, we're fine. Like, the technology that, for the sci-fi end of it is pretty minimal.
There isn't any. It's pretty much what the cars were sort of electric.
Yeah, they had sort of electric cars with heads-up displays.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Michael Caine's old character listened to some really weird music.
Yeah, I mean, but other than that, it was just like a simplified version of now.
Yeah, it was near future. It was. No one was using like lasers or pulse rifles.
Nope, just regular old machine guns. And I swear, two two moments in that movie that stick out is amazing. The backwards neutral car chase scene where they're trying to get away from the people that are overrunning the compound and they're running next to the car and holding on. Totally.
Oh, that's anxiety inducing. And then
Yeah.
the fact that the spoilers for probably a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, is it 20? Maybe it is.
Oh, that movie has to be at least like 2000.
Yeah, maybe. I guess so. I hadn't really thought about that. And then that one scene where they come out of the building at the end and it's like perfectly peaceful. And then like they kind of break the crowd and then chaos erupts. It's just, those are two of the most like poignant moments of that movie.
And that one one take that's throughout that battle sequence before that too.
Oh my God. Yeah. Where they're just going through the building.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, dude, that is sick. That is such a sick shot.
It was out in 06, so it's 14 years old.
That's kind of right on the edge of what we were saying. Maybe spoilery, maybe not.
Well, spoilers. Julianne Moore is billed as a top person in this movie, and they just kill her off with like no warning.
Oh yeah, no, she's done. She's done for total spoiler alert on that one.
But I love that shit. Like I love when films are not afraid to kill off main characters in unexpected manners.
Oh yeah, have you seen Deep Blue Sea?
With Lawrence Fishburne, I know it. Or is that Sam Jackson? Sam Jackson. Okay. Oh yeah, I was eaten by a motherfucking shark.
And like he's given that rousing speech to like rally the troops underwater, and he's like, "We're not the motherfucker," and then the shark eats him, and you're like, "What?" Like that was so rad. Like that was like the best. That movie sucked, but that was the best part of that movie. Like seriously. I could watch LL Cool J fight robotic sharks all day. That's also awesome. But that was like one of the best things I've ever seen.
Why is it always rappers versus giant animals? You have LL Cool J versus sharks. You have Ice Cube versus Anaconda. Snake. Yeah.
Oh, isn't Snakes on a Plane Samuel Jackson too?
Yeah, it is.
What else? Is there any more of those?
There might be. I have to dive into it, but that just came into my head. It's like 90s rappers versus giant animals.
I'm sure there's even more than we're even like thinking of. Right. Because you got to figure there's bit parts in other movies where they fight off an animal at some point, not even about fighting off the animal.
Well, because it sucks. Rappers are either cast as gangsters, rappers, or fighting giant animals, apparently.
Oh yeah, or now they're actually getting cast as like cool dads or like.
Well, I think that's just Ice Cube.
Yeah, maybe it is just. It's definitely not Ice-T.
No.
Ooh, by the way, have you seen he's in a battle with that shitty band Trapped?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen this? Oh my God. Oh, I've got a story for you if you want a Trapped story.
Oh, I definitely do.
I didn't even know Trapped was still a band.
Oh, apparently in their own minds, they're very successful.
So I had a friend, he was in that band Evanescence back in the day. And he was telling me the story that, they were on tour with Trapped, and from his retelling was that Trapped was a bunch of self-righteous D-bags, right? And were really bad to their crew and really miserable to their TM. Everybody that worked for them, they were just like these prima donna a-holes. And then one day in the middle of their show and their Headstrong song, right in the middle of it, they had staged a walkout, and the sound guy just goes on the soundboard, and the sound just goes and it's feeding back. But all the guitar techs left, all the sound people left, all the TMs left, all the production managers left, and they were just there in the middle of their song where everybody's rocking out, and it's going wow, and it's feeding back, and they're like looking around to look for somebody, but they treated everybody like so much crap that they just abandoned them in the middle of their thing. And I thought that was fucking awesome. And then I was like, well, maybe they would have learned a lesson. But just like I'm realizing about most right-wing people, those lessons are hard to learn, even in the middle of something like that.
Yeah. I've been going back and forth with a friend of mine today who's like, we need to plan to reopen the economy all fucking day today. I'm like, dude, why? And what boggles my mind about this is the same friend who a couple days ago posted an article where like, oh, hey, healthy people that have contacted COVID are suffering from seizures. I'm like, so on one hand, you're showing me an article that says it is doing things that we don't understand. And on the other hand, you're like, we should plan to reopen the economy.
Yeah. Well, so funny story. Like, I don't know if we haven't really like formally like known each other, but I'm a researcher, and I've been researching drugs and developing pharmaceuticals for like 25 years. So well in my science, and I'm also a magician. So I kind of write this whole people balance, science balance thing. And I try not to blame people, because I think with all the crazy media that's out there between like the Breitbarts and the Washington News versus the Washington Post, like the things that are just a little bit slippier and can kind of do these weird agenda-y things. And it gets confusing, because then you don't know, because then you see Washington and then you just kind of click out and we're like, oh, it's the Washington Post. And it's like the National News Network or whatever. It's like, no, it's not CNN. It's just the National News Network.
Right.
I don't know. And then it seems official. So people start to get kind of like the conflicting message thing. The thing I wish people would just take a step back with would be, okay, we are now officially have more deaths and more infections than anywhere else in the world. And you're screaming, open the economy. And your reason for that is that you think all these numbers are inflated.
Well, my buddy's like, well, we should just, plan to get back out there because, the supply chain is going to break down soon. And
no, it's not.
Oh, I know. And his first argument was a CNN article about how worldwide famine is going to hit biblical levels. And there's a link to a report in there. And it's like, if you open and look at the actual report, they're talking about already starving nations are going to get hit a lot fucking worse.
Oh, yeah. Because people they're not doing what they normally do to keep them healthy as much as they can.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's like, hey, man, here's a screenshot that the U.S. is not going to be affected by that. Directly from the article you just posted.
Well, and even, it was like back when I was a kid, I hated reading comprehension. I thought it was the most useless thing, and now I see why it was very important.
Or my other favorite one was, he then proceeded to post a link about Tyson Farms saying, oh, we may see shortages of meat in the U.S. because we've had to close down so many meatpacking plants. And I went, okay, that may be true. But as much as I hate to admit it, we can survive on other things besides fresh meat.
Oh, yeah. My favorite was today I was watching the news here in Raleigh for the third week in a row. The protesters of Reopen NC have gone out to the state capitol to protest. And this lady is going, we need to get our agriculture back. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you could do agriculture. I don't see why that would shut down. Like there's a farmer all by himself with his wife like going, well, I can't farm today. I'm supposed to stay inside. And
actually, there's probably going to be some bad another podcast I work on, we had an advocate for migrant workers in the COVID situation,
right,
talking about how we're probably going to see some really bad numbers out of the migrant worker communities because
really
a lot of times they are put up in like essentially bunk houses.
And they live together really tightly. Yeah.
Right. And they migrate to different seasonal work depending on the agricultural season.
And they don't have healthcare.
They don't have healthcare. They're afraid to go to hospitals because a lot of them are undocumented.
Right.
So we may see some ugly numbers in agriculture.
And there could be some ugly numbers going right now that we don't even know about.
Right. In that community because they're not getting tested. And as the rest of the country is shutting down, the people that would be advocates for them may not be able to get to them. Yeah,
absolutely. Or may not even know that they exist, for the most part, because that line of communication, those people that bridge that gap are not, like you said, not there to help.
What she was saying was the farmers are relaying stuff to crew leaders, and like very rarely do the migrant workers have direct contact with the farmers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like things aren't getting relayed from the farmer to the crew leader to the actual field people working in the field.
Right.
So there's just a giant gap there. And she was also saying that a lot of times because these people are working from sun up to sundown, by the time they get out of the field, there's no food available for them in stores to go purchase.
Well, I could see that. That's crazy.
I mean,
that is fucking crazy.
This interview was done like a month and a half ago, so hopefully the situation's gotten a little better for them as there's less scarcity on the shelves.
Yeah. There has been a lot of change in that regard. I've even noticed it around here. I try not to go to the store, but maybe once every 3 or 4 days or something like that. And I always go very early, like at 7 a.m. when no one is there. And then there's probably like 2 people in the store. I run, get my shit, check out, self-check out, and get the fuck out. And then sanitize my shit. I'm like, all right, good for a few more days, you know.
I did Instacart today. I can tell it's getting better because Instacart got me my food in 3 hours instead of a week out, which was what it was like if you tried to order a month ago. That's awesome. Not to say that everything was correct or Instacart actually is a good service. Like, this is the first time I used them. I'm like, well, I don't really want to go to the store because last time I went to the store in person, I was flabbergasted. You still had fucking people shopping as full fucking families.
Oh, yeah. I don't get it.
I don't get it. You had store employees improperly wearing their masks. They were just wearing it over their mouth, not their nose. The security guard for the store just had the mask sitting on his chin. He just didn't have it pulled up. And I'm like, part of me wanted to start shit. Part of me wanted to start shit with him. Like, motherfucker, you're the one supposed to be protecting people, and you don't have your fucking mask on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, far be it for me to tell people what to do with their bodies.
Well, the problem is, the masks are supposed to be protecting us from them.
Us, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the key is like they don't get that part. It's like they don't get that you're doing it for everyone else, not you, everybody else.
Oh, yeah, no, if that security guard or any of those employees wanted to dump cyanide in the middle of the store, I'd be like, cool, here's a glass of water, enjoy.
Right.
Like, don't care. You want to do negative things that negatively affect yourself? Cool. That's why I get pissed off about the protesters and shit like that. If these motherfuckers would just drop dead from COVID from being out there and protesting, I'd be like, cool.
Yeah,
don't care.
I'm out. But every time they have a protest, you're like, all right, we're indoors for another 4 weeks because you're not. Like, all right, like that's how this works. You know?
You potentially get nine people fucking sick, or the numbers for LA were if we went back to business as usual, 95% of us would have COVID by August.
Wow,
is what the city is saying. Who knows if that's accurate, but that is what the city of Los Angeles is saying.
It's a projection. I mean, well, you think about it like this, right? This is the way I think about it. If in November it infected a single person in China, and you fast forward to present day, and it's already killed hundreds of thousands of people across the globe, and millions of people affected from a single person, that Kevin Bacon bullshit doesn't apply anymore. That's how connected we are now. Like, you know, and passing and things you don't even realize. You know, and it's not about your personal freedom. It's not about any of that. It's just like, that's how fast something like that can happen.
Right. It's not about your personal freedom. It's about, hey, don't negatively affect everyone else. I am all about you can do whatever you want as long as you don't negatively affect anyone else.
Agreed. Kind of like my whole thing on abortion. It's like, I don't care. Get abortion. Don't get abortion. I don't give a fuck what you do, but you don't get to tell somebody else what to do with their shit if it's not affecting you. If it doesn't have anything to do with you, then you don't really have a right to tell them what to do with their shit. I don't want people telling me to do with my shit, but if it's affecting other people, if I'm a drunk driver, I should be penalized for that because that's not just me. That's everybody else on the road, you know?
So some people I do know, I would heavily encourage them to get an abortion. They're not fit parents. They would be negatively affecting someone else. This just might be down the road.
You don't know. A kid could come out to be the next Messiah for all we know. You know, who knows?
Or they could end up being the next piece of shit, taking up more space on the 405.
Also true. Which is my least favorite road in California. I used to have to take that son of a bitch all the time. I worked out in Thousand Oaks for like a year and a half, and it was a painful drive to get out there. Was it the 405 and the
101?
Right? 101. Yeah. Man, it was just like, Jesus Christ. I don't understand how California is, I don't know, I guess from Thousand Oaks to like LA is only like 20 or 30 miles, but it will take you 2.5 hours to go that 30 miles distance.
On like a 10-lane highway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I remember I was dating a girl way, way back in the day in LA, And I would be like, oh, I got done work. I'm going to drive to go see her. I would leave at like 7 o'clock and get to downtown at like 10 p.m. because it would just be gridlock traffic. And I have no idea why.
No one does.
I did see Jay Leno once in a Viper. He was like 2 cars up and over, and then somebody jumped out of their car and ran. I'm like, what the fuck's this person doing? And then took a picture, and I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Jay Leno. He's like right there in this car, which is kind of wild.
All I know is that vagina must have been magical for a 3-hour commute.
Oh no, I just bored. She wasn't that great. It was just, it was somebody, because I was working there. I was working for a pharmaceutical company out that way, and I had to go there every other week for like a whole week. So I was just like bored, and I met this person at a party, and I was like, oh, they're cool to hang out with. I'll kill some time. And then she was like, we should date. And I was like, cool, but I don't know. And then it didn't work out shortly thereafter. But
well, because you were effectively dating someone in another state.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't know. Do you really want to? And they were like, yeah, I love you so much. And then 2 weeks later, they ghosted me. And I was like, what happened to this whole flowery?
That is such the LA love story.
I mean, I didn't even really want to do it. I was just like, oh, she's just so into it.
No, that's the real rom-com that they should write about LA. One party being super balls deep into it, the other party being like, meh, sure, why not? And then the balls deep party just ghosting. That is so stereotypical. Like,
yeah, it was special and not good, but I did meet a lot of really cool people when I was out in LA. I love LA. It's probably one of my favorite places to go visit for sure. I don't like being there for too long, but it's nice to visit.
Did you used to perform at the Castle while you were out here?
I have this really weird hang up where like I'm lazy, so I haven't done any submissions to like do the Castle thing. But anybody who's seen me perform was like, holy shit, you would kill at the Castle. Because I have a different kind of style, I think, and different set of kind of foundational magic that I think people would find interesting. And everybody's like, you should do it. And I was like, yeah. I want them to ask me, like, cause I'm a dickhead at this point in my life. So yeah, they should ask me. But then, I don't know. My plan was to do it this year. But this thing happened and it's kind of put everything on a back burner. So we'll see.
Hey, but if I do, depending on how COVID goes, there may be some slots open by the time the Castle reopens.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not treating themselves right, yeah, there might be some slots. I don't know. It's a really cool thing. You get like a week residency. So you have like a week and they put you up at that hotel right by it. And you have like 2 or 3 shows a night. And I think they're 22 minutes, which I'm like, I could do 22 minutes in my sleep. But I'm super pumped because I got a lot of really great friends in LA. And Gavin Rosdale from Bush is going to come when I do it because he's so pumped because he's never been. And I did magic for him a year and a half ago. And he was like, if you're ever out in LA, here's my number. Like, call me. So I have like his phone number and I'm just waiting to be like, that should be my go-to like reason to go do it so I can have Gavin Rosdale be on my guest list. Because I'm a huge Bush fan. Like, I love fucking Bush. Again, I don't believe in guilty pleasures. Like, when that shit came out, I was like, yeah, and it still hits me that good.
16 Stone is a good album.
It's one of the best fucking records of its time. Like, it's so good. Who did not sing Glycerine and cry about somebody? I mean, come on.
Oh, like, Everything's Zen. Everything's Zen is such a good song.
Machine Head, yep. Come Down, Glycerin. Yeah. Like,
they were a ginormous band.
They were so cool. They were so great. I saw them live. They had this little band called the Goo Goo Dolls opening as a 2-piece acoustic duo in 1993, maybe 94, but maybe it was 94. Yeah, maybe it was 94. And it was No Doubt was the middle slot. And then
I wonder if Gavin and Gwen were already a thing at that point.
I don't think so because the tour had just started. So I think they met on that tour and that became like the thing, I still have my my Bush shirt that has just a picture of Gavin Rossdale's face. And on the back bottom of the shirt, it has an email address because, email was the hottest thing in like 94. It was like email at bush.uk. blah, 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 whatever.com. It was like this long thing. My girlfriend loves wearing that shirt because it's technically vintage at this point.
Oh my God. That makes me think of when I ran a small record label in Chicago in the mid 2000s. And
really?
we used to put out shirts with the MySpace URLs for the bands on the shirt.
Oh, fuck yeah, you did. Oh, that was awesome. Like any bands that are still around?
No. Everyone crashed and burned, and that's why I'm a podcaster, not a record label exec.
Man. What was your record label?
It was called Double Tap Entertainment. It was a metal label.
Oh, metal.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Yeah.
MySpace was the metal thing, like metal and goth and like fucking industrial. That was like the MySpace time.
Oh, it was an amazing time, especially for someone like me who I was still working on 9 to 5 at that point and went, man, I hate my 9 to 5. I got more money than I know what to do with my 9 to 5. Well, what do I enjoy doing? I enjoy seeing live music. Well, how do I make a living seeing live music without any musical talent?
Make more music.
Right. Spend my money to make more music.
Yeah. Hey, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
It was a huge failure, mostly because I put a lot of bar tabs on the label.
Oh, well, yeah, because I think anytime people hear a record label, they think like it's always like some dude in a suit with a convertible and he's just like flashing some money around. I'm reminded of the Real Big Fish sellout video, and I love that band too. And that guy just comes in like, oh, you're going to be on a record label. And they're all like, oh, it's going to be this thing. And it ends up being this machine of just drudgery and staples. And it's not like that at all.
Oh, I can relate to that. I can absolutely relate to that. Here's a copy of like our standard contract.
Oh, wow. That's pretty thin.
Oh, it's only 40 odd pages.
I mean, it's not terrifying like in the movies where it's like hundreds.
But to a bunch of regional metal acts, that's fucking terrifying.
Oh, I bet. They're like, wait, what's a last two? Like, what state are we in?
One of the lines in it is the territory is the known universe.
You can legally claim that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
My entertainment lawyer drew that up, which every member of one of my acts that still speak to me give me shit about that to this day. They're like, the known universe, huh, Matt?
That's pretty good.
For those of you who don't know music business, traditionally music is different territories. So like the U.S. is a territory, and a band may have a separate deal with a label in Europe or Asia, different territories. My default contract signed these regional acts to the known universe, because why not?
I mean, legally you have to make it binding. Oh, speaking of shitty movies, sort of metal, and legally binding contracts, have I got a movie for you?
Oh, I'm always down for that.
American Satan, I think, is the movie. It's about an industrial band that signs a contract with the devil. It's so bad, you would fucking love it. Yeah, American Satan, 2017. You should check it out because it stars Malcolm McDowell as the devil.
Nice.
And it has Denise Richards, some dude named Andy Biersack. He's like, he's Johnny Faust. Go figure, right? And I can't remember what it's on, but it's on one of the fucking things. Watch it. It's amazing. Even funnier is my girlfriend's from Ohio, and they're from Columbus, Ohio in the story. And when they're leaving Columbus, Ohio, they're in the street and he's talking to his mom. He's like, Mom, I'm going to drive to LA and leave Columbus. And they're like, all right, Johnny, or whatever. And then in the background, I see this giant fucking mountain. And I'm like, I've been to Columbus a lot. I've never seen a giant mountain. And I was like, oh, because they're still in fucking Los Angeles.
Yeah. Columbus is flat as fuck.
Yeah, it's flat and it's dreary and it's not bright blue skies. I mean, it can be, but like on any given day, if I was trying to delineate Columbus from LA, it wouldn't have a mountain in it. You could have put the camera up higher and shot down on the street. I don't know. You could have done that 9 million ways, but that was a telltale sign you were already lying to me out of the gate.
It's 2017. Just green screen it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You could have just put up a fucking green screen. Hell, you could have went in there and photoshopped the goddamn thing. I don't know, with your phone. But, American Satan, check it out. It's terrible, but it's so good, terrible. Like LFO, terrible good.
I will definitely check that out.
You're going to be like, all the cliches are in there, all the stuff. It's great.
I'm going to come out of it like, did I write this? Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be like, was that band on my label? Let me look through my contracts.
I was like, am I owed some royalties? I mean, that is actually the reality of the fucked up situation. Is I have 2 albums that are on iTunes that I literally do not know if anyone buys them, where the money goes.
Oh, really? Do they not go to the artist? They have to go through you?
They have to go through me because the standard deal, like both those artists still probably have to recoup costs for their albums.
Gotcha.
So they have to go through me. The label dissolved in 2009.
Oh, so you're still like mediating these legacy pieces.
I mean, there's nothing to mediate. They're on iTunes and I don't know where it goes. Like I Googled one of the bands and I'm like, wait a minute, this is on Amazon Music? Amazon Music didn't exist when the label did.
That's true.
How did this get on Amazon Music? How?
Did they put it on or did...
No, I mean, my artists don't have any control over the rights to their music.
That's so crazy when you think about it. I wonder if there's somebody, remember, what was that movie, Office Space, where they decided to round up all the transactions by a penny and they didn't think it was going to be that big a deal and they had like $1 million overnight. I wonder if there's somebody in the digital music world that finds like artists that only sell 3 or 4 records that don't have any, like they know the ties don't go back and they're like, we're just going to put this in this thing and like route this money over here. And like, if every one of them sells 1 record a month, which they're probably not even thinking they sell that much, that could be a lot. There's a lot of bands out there.
Yeah. It would be ridiculous to be like, hey, I technically own the rights to this music. Where's the money been going?
Yeah. Who's got my fucking check? Like, yeah, I don't know.
But it's also, if it becomes a large enough sum, I have to then go into accounting and then be like, okay, well, the bands owe me this much for their albums. We've made more than that. Now I got to actually kick them royalties, and then like I'd have to look through the contracts. But I'm pretty sure there's probably penalties for me not paying on time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Maybe best to let Sleeping Dog lie.
Probably, but I just
fuck artists. But
it's just hilarious to me. Well, and none of those bands exist anymore either.
Right? Like who would you pay? I guess really.
Well, the individual artists, because none of my acts took my goddamn advice. Well, and that was my biggest takeaway from you, like working as a record label. Is like could never be happy as a label head, right. At least not at the level I was working at, because you develop interpersonal relationships with your artists, and there's times where you have to make decisions that are business decisions. Like, does this benefit the label or the artist? Well, it now becomes a conflict of interest when it's like, hey, I may have to make a decision that is the best decision for my business that is not necessarily beneficial to my now friends that are my artists.
Right. Yeah, and that can be tricky, very, very tricky.
Yeah, and the couple times I had to make them, I didn't feel good about it. 2007, when we were sponsoring the Indianapolis Metal Fest.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that was a thing. Where in Indianapolis.
Yep. It was
like downtown, or was it like in a venue?
It was in 2 stages across the street from each other the first year. I forgot what the fucking venues were, but one of my acts hadn't delivered their fucking album. And I'm like, hey guys, if you don't deliver me a commercially viable album in time for me to have it pressed in time for Indianapolis, I'm going to book someone else on the show.
That's fair.
I, as the label, have 3 slots of my own acts that I could put on this fest as part of my sponsorship deal. I'm going to court a new act with this if you guys don't give me an album that I can fucking sell there.
Right. And?
I mean, they delivered, but it's still not a good thing to fucking say to my friends.
Oh, no, ever. And especially in all places, Indianapolis, which I spent a lot of time in Indianapolis working on drug stuff too. It's the most flattest town I've ever seen in my life. I thought Columbus was flat. It's really flat.
Oh, Indianapolis is so flat, but Metalhead kids came fucking out.
Oh, dude, they're there. They're in this, there was this one place I went to, the Sinking Ship, which was like, end up being my favorite bar in Indianapolis. If you ever get a chance to go, it is fucking awesome. It's my favorite bar. It's kind of punk rocky. That's like my jam is punk, you know? So I had that good punk rock vibe, but it was hard to find because everything's so, whitewashed. Is that a proper term to like consider Indianapolis as that kind of Midwestern whitewashing, gentrification-y type, like, oh, steakhouses and shit and like cool, clean looking things, which is awesome. I'm not like stepping on that at all, but it doesn't have any soul to it. Yeah. I hope nobody from Indianapolis is like, well, fuck you. It's got some spots that are pretty cool. I'm not
Broad Ripple, bro. Broad Ripple.
I mean, Broad Ripple's okay, but like, man, you know, it like Chicago has soul. Like when you go into Chicago, there's like meat there. Like you feel it. You don't feel the same when you go to Indianapolis, and it's only what, like 2 hours, 3 hours from there.
2-3 hours.
Not that far. You know, I don't know. Just my experience. I always felt like Indianapolis was a little more vanilla for my taste. But isn't that where? God, who's that author that was from there? Slaughterhouse Five. Who's
Vonnegut?
that? Vonnegut. Yeah, there's a Vonnegut museum in Indianapolis.
That's all right. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm telling you, I travel a lot. I know a lot about weird shit in places because I'm always trying to find the weirdest shit I can find to do, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't even know that could be a thing. All right, let's go check that shit out.
See, I was always just looking for dive bars when I traveled. I used to have a gig where I worked full time on the road, and I was just always on the quest for dive bars.
Favorite dive bar in America? Go.
The Claremont Lounge, Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay. The Claremont Lounge. I mean, you can't beat that one.
Fuck obviously. No. And I haven't been there in probably 5-6 years. Apparently, they've reopened the hotel and put a bougie rooftop bar on the hotel.
Gentrification.
But the basement is still the same.
That's cool.
That's so weird. It's such a weird
dichotomy. Part of it can be the same. Well, I think, you know, people go to the Claremont for the stories to say they've been, you know, or whatever. What's my favorite dive bar? I mean, my local spots are always my favorite, like Slim's in Raleigh here, and the Whitewater Tavern in Little Rock, Arkansas. If you ever get a chance, is a great little dive bar.
I really like, even though I'm not a big country person, I really like the Thirsty Beaver in Charlotte.
Oh, have you been to there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a country person. So I'm weird. Like I love punk. I love pop country, old country. I love indie rock. I love, I probably like everything but metal. That's the funny part. I like everything but metal. And I appreciate metal. I just don't listen to it. Like, it's just, you know, it's a lot. So sometimes I just need the whole fucking chill vibe or the upbeat chill vibe. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that country music and punk music is the same shit, same chords, different tempo. It's literally the same fucking shit. It's all emo music, and it's all about heartbreak and shit. Whether that's your, you know, your 66 Chevelle or whatever, or your fucking pickup truck, it doesn't matter. Or the girl dumped you. The girls are dumping you, whether you're punk or country.
Are you a broke musician? She will leave you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. She is going to leave you at some point until you're not broke. And then, you know,
then you can't beat them away.
Yeah, exactly. I like a lot of my favorite punk acts are California, like Joyce Manor. I don't know if you're a Joyce Manor fan. Great punk band. And I think, yeah, they're in LA. Touche Amore's out there. Who else is out in LA that I love seeing? I went out, I did a sold out show at the Troubadour last December. Not this past one, but the one before, when I was with Old 97s. That was fucking rad as shit. And a lot of my really great friends came out for that one. One of them was a guy named Roger Harvey, a guy from Philadelphia, musician. He happened to be shooting his video in Joshua Tree and was like, "Hey man, I'm in town. Can I come to your show?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah." So it was awesome to see somebody from all the way on the other side of the country come into my show. And the kicker from the Seattle Seahawks was there. It was like these weird stars as well in the Troubadour. You've been there, obviously.
Yeah, well, and that's the beauty of LA. It's just the weird mixing pot of people that come to events.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. And you never know who. Like, I don't know. I don't know these people. I'm not even from California. I just go there sometimes. So it was like, I bring up this dude on stage right before I go on, and the lead singer, Old 97s, was like, "How did you pick this guy?" And I was like, "I don't know. He looked friendly." And he was like, after the show, I do the whole show. He's like, "Did you know who that was?" I was like, "No." He's like, "That's the guy who won the fucking playoff spot for the Seattle Seahawks by like, instead of kicking it, throwing a touchdown pass and shit." And I was like, "Oh, that was that guy?" Like, I had no idea. I had no idea. And then when we like traveling around, the bass player used to be married to the famous voice actress Gray Delisle, who voices Daphne and Scooby-Doo and has for like 20 years. And then she did my favorite characters in The Last Airbender, which we were talking about earlier. So I got to meet her, which was awesome because I was like, holy shit, like I fucking have been listening to your voice forever. And I didn't know you were married or used to be married to this guy. And the funny part about that was I had met her earlier in passing, but I think she thought I was the production manager or something. And so I had, because I wear like a headset on stage, so I had the headset on and I was getting ready and I saw her waving to me from the crowd that she needed to get back. So I came and I escorted her back and I was like, I just want to tell you I'm a huge fan. Like, I love this show and that show and this is great. And like, can you take a picture with me? And she's like, oh yeah, it's awesome. She literally walks away from me and goes into their dressing room. She's like, I'm so excited to meet this magician guy. Where, like, when does he go on? And they were like, he was the guy that was fawning all over you like, in the hallway, which I thought was super funny.
That's, so, you know, that's amazing. I'm curious. What came first, the science or the magic?
Science. I was studying. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, Tar Heel, and was graduating college. And I went on a trip after I graduated college to visit my friend in Minnesota. And the plane almost crashed. It's a long story, but
you can't just leave that. Like, I almost died. Yada yada.
Well, like it was my first commercial airline flight. And I was afraid to get on the plane. I just had this bad feeling. And now this is
some Final Destination shit.
Yeah, this is like 98, 99 or something. And like I'm flying and everything was cool. The whole flight was fine until it was getting ready to land. And right as it was getting ready to land, it was like really low. And then it just went like straight up into the air, like so fast, like where we were almost in the ground. And it was torquing so much that it made that metal bending sound, but like that large metal bending, like it's like that kind of sound. And that it was shaking so much that the overhead bins were flying open and luggage was spewing out, like, and people were throwing up. And was so nervous about planes. I read everything I could. And one of them was like, always look at the stewardesses. And if they're scared, you should be fucking scared. And I looked at them and they were scared. I'm like, fucking great. Like, I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking die. I knew I shouldn't have got on this plane. I had a feeling about it from the time I got to this fucking airport. And then it righted itself and we landed and I was a fucking mess. I was just like not good. And I called my ex-wife now, but the wife at the time, and it was like, payphone, no cell phones, because payphone, you have to be like, and then be like, I almost fucking died, and blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, just
break out the calling card in those days.
Yeah, like 1-800-45*9. Yeah, and when I finally got there, I had a great time with my friend, and we went to the Mall of America, and we were walking Mall of America for like 2.5 hours. It's a fucking, if you've never been there, it's fucking gigantic. Like at the closest space, the people are like that big on the other side of the mall. That's the closest that it gets. And you're like, it's an amusement park in the middle, you know? And we were walking.
They had the very first WCW Nitro in the Mall of America.
No fucking way. For real?
Yeah.
WCW is the shit.
Didn't mean to derail you there.
Oh, no.
Mall of America factoid.
I love Mall of America factoids. Hey, it's where I got my magic career started. And then there was this magic shop, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done school. I can fucking read books and shit. Like, let me see some of this magic shit. I could learn that, right? Because I really have this attitude of you can learn anything you can read, and why reading is a very powerful tool. So I bought this book. This kid was fucking my mind up like so bad. He was like, now I'm like, he was doing the most basic shit to me and I was losing my shit. I'm like, fuck, what is fucking what? He did this. He was like, oh, look, it's gone. Oh, it's back, or whatever. I was like, poop. And I was like, where did it? You better give me my shit back, which is really funny because that's kind of how I do now. Like, I do the same shit and I don't think much of it, but it really affects people. And I always remember how that felt. So I bought a book, a deck of cards, and a lottery ticket were the only things I bought on my whole trip aside from food. And I closed the window of the airplane and I opened this book and I pulled out the cards and I just was like, don't look at anything, just go into my world, in the space. And, which paid off because when probably about a year later, I got a job where I had to travel to Indiana, I spent 3 months in Indiana training and living in Indiana. And all I would do is after work, I would just go around to all the bars and just do tricks and people would buy me drinks and food. And it was insane. And I was probably been doing it a few years at that point. So it was pretty good. But it was so I ran into magicians, and they were blowing them away. So it was like a really eye-opening experience at 26, I guess was about that time when I was like kind of really honing myself as a magician in Indiana and North Carolina. But yeah, that's how it all got started, was that fateful, because I don't think if I had that near-death experience, I would have been nervous about flying back. And that nervousness is what made me study magic even more. So it was kind of like I always attribute it as the seed that grew into what I became. It's a weird story, but
Hey, often the best stories are.
It's almost unbelievable if you think about it. It's just kind of so random. Because I thought magic was cool. Never thought I'd be a magician. Didn't give a shit about it. All the way up until I was 21, you could have told me anything and I would have been like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. And now I'm 45 years old and I'm like, how have I ever not been this? Like, I've been this longer than I have not been this now. And so now I don't know what it's like to not be this. And it's a really weird place to be in my mind, I guess.
Have you ever thought about just doing the magic full time, like abandoning science altogether?
That's a question I get a lot. I love science. It keeps me really balanced. It helps me think about stuff. And I'm a really high-end scientist. So I do a lot of consulting and a lot of design work and statistical work with people, but I come at it from a whole different place. I'm tattooed all over, but I also have a junior executive position at some of the largest research firm in the world. So cool place to be in where you're so different that people want to hear you and you feel like you can affect change. So part of me would never stop doing science because I think that kind of change is necessary, especially what we're facing today. But also I don't think I'd be wholly happy if I just did magic. It would be it would take all the joy out of it. Now I'm so selective. I could do whatever I want, whenever I want. If I want to do a show, I could do a show. If I don't want to do a show, if I want to go on tour, I can. If I don't, there's no pressure on me to do it. And, my clientele is really high end. So I do magic for, I did Sheryl Crow's birthday party. I've done parties at her house for a bunch. I did Brad Paisley's birthday party. I do magic for Dierks Bentley, Chris Stapleton, Jason Isbell, you name it. I've done magic for all these people and I do it for fun. And I get paid a lot of times too, but it's also I'm kind of in the sweet spot. I don't have to hustle and be shit on for people that just want me to do a bar mitzvah or a birthday party or whatever. It's
hey, don't knock the bar mitzvahs.
No. I love them. They definitely pay, but it's just if that was all I had to grind it out with, I wouldn't have any kind of reciprocal validation for what I feel is an art form. But getting it from other artists that I respect and love is high acclaim for, I feel what I do for them, but also how I feel about me and it's at that caliber, And
it definitely helps to not be a starving artist because being a starving artist sucks.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. I mean, when I first started doing magic, I didn't get paid Anything. I mean, I look back at what I got paid then. I was like, man, I would have did shit for like a 12 pack or something. Like it was just like, and it's not that that's the sad state of exchange. That's totally fine. But it's also like, how long can you keep, is that sustainable? And it's not, it's like bands. I feel so bad. So like I pay it forward. Like when I go see a band, and half the time they put me on the guest list anyway, but I'll go buy all their merch. Even though they'll give it to me anyway, I'll just be like, no, well then here's $100. Like, I don't, like, this is just a t-shirt. And I'm like, sweet, there you go. Now you can go stay at a hotel or whatever you need, like that's my way of paying it forward. Actually, I don't know if you're familiar with this band in Chicago called Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're a huge indie rock band in Chicago. Really great band. And I love Twin Peaks, as you know. As a matter of fact, I was with that girl and we went to the Satellite in LA. And I was on the guest list for this band called the Eagles from England. Not the Hotel California.
Eagles. No. I didn't mean to interrupt, but like, how do you name your band the Eagles after the Eagles have already? Like, how do you? Oh,
it's GULLS, like Eagles.
Still,
yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
but they're a punk band, and also I've done magic for the Eagles and the Eagles. So like, I'm rounding it out, but I walked up to the marquee and I saw Twin Peaks and I'm like, I don't know what's happening tonight. And I know I'm here to see the Eagles. I want to see Twin Peaks. Like, you have got my interest. And Twin Peaks fucking crushed. They were so good. And then they left and they didn't have merch. And I was like, I need more. What is this? And they're like, well, they're underage. They were only like 18. So they can't be in the club. They can only come in to play and then they're out. Right. So I went out front and there they are in this fucking van and they're all 18 years old. There's like 5, 6 of them. And I was like, dude, you guys blew my mind. What do you have for sale? Like, and they're like, we got a shirt and a record. I'm like, sweet, here's $80. Give me a shirt and a record. They're like, but sir, this isn't $80 because they're like 18. And I was like, you're going to be famous. I know it. Just keep the money. You're going to be fine. And just keep doing what you're doing. If this gets you through, like, let it. Like, this was awesome. And so they played a small bar, maybe about a year later in Durham, North Carolina. And I was the only one of like 3 people in attendance at this Monday night show. And I still loved them. And I showed up and I was like, hey, do you guys remember me? And they were like, where the fuck? I thought you lived in LA. And I was like, no, I live actually here. And then it was this whole fun exchange. And then they were still underage at that point. They're only 19. And so they were like, can you get us some alcohol? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And I was like, I bought these beers and I left them sitting outside. And I was just like, anybody knows whose beers these are? I don't even, where do they come from? I don't know. And now they're all like, I don't know. They're all in their mid-20s now, but, and they're wildly successful. They do these huge shows. They're amazing band. And every bit, if you like the Strokes or anything like in that kind of wheelhouse, I don't know if that's your thing, but they're kind of in that weird retro pop rock, I guess, like very Iggy Poppy, Strokesy, 60s kind of vibe, I guess. I don't know. Great band. I really, really do love them. But I guess I've been so fortunate because all the people that I've gotten to meet and do magic for, I've all met on their way up. And I think it's a really important thing to mention, the people that like supporting your local music scene and your local culture is wildly important. And it may feel defeating or whatever in some moments, but in other moments, it's really great when you watch somebody go from playing to 5 people to selling out fucking entire theaters and 2,000 and 3,000 cap rooms when at one point in your life you were bringing them shots and just sitting in front of them while they played to you or nobody else, and that's a really nice feeling. That, or I have really good taste in music. I'm not sure which one it is. I think
could be both. Could be both.
Could be both.
No, it's always beautiful to see someone make it. It's, especially when you're like, it's not like being a hipster. Like, oh, I was into them first. It's like, no, I've watched them evolve. I watched their style change. Mm-hmm. I watched them like grow into their art form, into their sound.
Yeah. And that's an important thing. And I think you heard that band Lucero?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've been friends with Lucero since 2004. So a long time. So what's that? 16 years now. And I used to be the only guy and a handful of people going to their shows. And I always thought they were so good. And I did the same thing. I was like, whatever you need to do to keep going, because I need this in my life. It's so good. I'll drive to see you. I would drive like hundreds of miles to see them play. And now they're wild. They have bus and they do like these big giant shows. Everybody knows all their lyrics and they have Facebook fan groups. But I remember being one of the only like 20 or 30 people going, we need to start a fan group, and I put some of the first Lucero videos ever on the YouTube because I was recording them on my phone. So it was just like a thing I did. And I was like, I just have to share that. Like, this YouTube just came out. I'll put my videos on YouTube and maybe people will see this great band. And now they're so far sunken deep and they're so bad because the technology in 2004 was not what it is.
Oh yeah. There's just
15 years later.
The horrible quality on camera phones at that point. I'm curious for like bands that are starting out these days. Because when I was working in music, we could book out tours literally with being unknowns to a club and be like, hey, the band wants a meal, 100% of their merch sales, and enough money to get gas to their next location.
To the next place, yeah.
And these clubs would do it, no problem.
Nowadays, they got this new thing where clubs want to take a percentage of their merch, which is such bullshit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, why do you get that? Like, I know anybody who's listening that's part of the music business would know that's bullshit. But,
labels are giving 360 deals now where they're taking part of touring and merch, which when I was working was such a rarity. It's like, no. The albums are my money. I take a lion's share of the album. You get your touring and merch, unless I'm advancing you money to go out on tour.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, I don't understand why that's such a foreign concept to venues, or why they don't think that's a shitty practice. But I think they see as an opportunistic kind of way to make money off of bands yet again, because you're only going to make so much from selling tickets, and then you're going to see a band sell thousands of dollars in merch, some of them.
Yeah, but you're going to make it up in liquor sales if you're doing it right.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But I see, because I remember that's a LA band, friends of mine, that band Saint Motel. Have you heard them?
Mm-hmm.
They're in a lot of car commercials, pop band. Saw them at the Cat's Cradle, which is a big classic venue here in North Carolina. They literally, every single person at that show of 1,000 people bought merch, and the line wrapped inside the building, and they were selling merch for like 2.5 hours. And I think their merch sales were like several $1,000s, like $8,000 or some ungodly amount of money like that. And I'm like, holy shit. And now I think, venues, and I'm not saying this is why, but I think venues saw that and were like, oh, we need a cut of that if we're going to, whatever. And I think that's kind of their bullshit excuse. Really.
It is. It absolutely is. Because it's like, in a lot of cases, depending on the size of the band, that's really what's fueling the engine to continue the tour.
Because you don't have to pay that money, or you can use that money because you got managers taking money, you got booking agents taking money.
Yeah.
You got to keep the band fed. You got to keep gas in the car. You got to give them a place to sleep.
Right. And you have a road crew to pay.
Exactly. Every mouth to feed on that tour is getting fed, from that.
Right. And depending on the size of your band, you may not have some great guarantee.
No. But, the great guarantees will make up for the not so great guarantees. I remember when I was with the Old 97s and we did the Fillmore in San Francisco, and they were loaded in the merch, and they were like, oh, no one's doing merch. They're going to count in your merch, and then they're going to take a percentage of it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I would rather not just do merch, but somebody's going to ask me for a shirt or something, and I'll sell like one shirt, right? One. And I literally sold one shirt at the Fillmore, and I was like, well, do you want to take your fucking 20% of that? Like, go ahead. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, that's how shitty you want to be about it.
That's like, can you break this 20 for your 20%?
Yeah. Do you want your $2 from my shit? Like, I know, like, I don't know. It's a really weird game now. And I think maybe it'll change because, like, you know, with concerts being canceled and you're going to have that whole, like, kind of easing back into this touring mentality and stuff like that. I wonder how much of that is going to change maybe that dynamic.
It's going to be really weird. I heard Bert Kreischer, I don't know if you're familiar, he's a stand-up comic, talking about it on another podcast. He was talking about it with comics, but I think it'll happen with music too, where it's like, there are only so many big venues. So how many theater-sized acts or arena-sized acts are going to try to immediately get back on the road to make up that money?
Oh, yeah.
So,
my God.
So you're going to have all these touring acts competing over the same venues.
Yeah. For the same small time space, they're going to try to, like, crunch it all in. Like I said, I hang out with a lot of big country stars, and I get to see a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't normally get to see. But I did see, I was at a Miranda Lambert show, and my friend at the time was her overall tour manager guy, right? And he was like, "Oh, come with me. I got to go settle up." And they literally had the cash sales for merch, and it looked like Scarface. It was literally just like these stacks of cash on this table. And I felt like somebody was going to take a cane and do the thing where they divide it up and slide this mountain of cash over. And I was like, he was like, "Oh, that's just the cash merch sales. Cause we have to have a safe to, like, put that cash into till we get to a bank and, you know, have to do the whole fucking thing." And I was like, oh my God, there's so much going on, but you also have to pay like you don't even understand, like, the level of, like, the country tours. There's like 8 tour buses. They have riggers, light people, sound people, a guitar tech for every person, caterers, anything you could possibly think of, other bands. Like, it's insane. And it's a big operation, and they come in and they are just cut and dry, put on a fucking great show, pack it up, do it again. It is like the coolest shit I've ever seen, but it's also the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life. And I remember the first Miranda Lambert show I went with my friend who was managing her at the time. I was like, holy shit, y'all got like 4 tour buses and like 5 tractor trailers. He's like, oh yeah, it's not like we're Keith Urban or something. I mean, we just got a little setup. And I was like, this is a little setup? I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
So, yeah.
To run one of those buses, like, thousands upon thousands. And
yeah, I mean, I think buses are not as expensive as I thought they were. When I went on tour with the Old 97s, they had gotten a bus both tours I did with them, and I was on the bus with them. And I think it's like maybe like $1,500 a day plus gas.
Yeah, but well, gas is free right now, so I can't really say what it costs.
Yeah, no shit. But back then, you know, and like bus drivers can be a sorted bunch. But yeah, it was like $1,500 makes sense, because if you're getting like in the tens of thousands of dollars a guaranteed, then a bus makes total sense.
Oh, definitely.
That find it out, because that's not that. If you think about it, that's a hotel room for everybody, and your travel, and you're overnighted to the next. It's like a magical tube that you wake up and you're in another town the next day. You know, it's kind of rad. I could never sleep on the bus. I was terrible at it. So I would have to get really drunk and then jump into my bunk and put my earphones on and then hopefully pass out before we got moving, because if we were moving, I couldn't ever fall asleep.
Oh, that sucks.
It's terrible. And I worked on tour. So like I would do my job. So I bring my computer, I'd wake up, my alarm would go off at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
I'm sure your two roommates love that.
Dave, man, the Old 97s are a bunch of really great old dudes, and they like to sleep until like noon. So if you think an alarm is going to wake them up at 7 in the morning, you are in for another treat, because they are not getting up. So I would just find a cafe. My alarm would go off, find a cafe, sit down and work till like 3 or 4, and then load in, do my show, pack it all up, go to sleep, do it all again every day. So I lived for the weekends, because it was like, oh, I don't have to get up early. I can actually sleep in.
Right.
But you still are bored. You get to a city and you're fucking bored, because you don't know. I don't know, like, where do we go? Bozeman, Montana or some shit. And you're just like, I don't know. I'm here on a Saturday in Bozeman, Montana. That's how I find all the weird shit to do in these cities. I'm like,
there was a place in Bozeman that claimed to have the largest chicken fried steak like west of the Mississippi.
Jesus Christ, I don't need a heart attack.
It was really fucking good.
I bet it was good.
That is one of the few things I remember about Bozeman. The giant chicken fried steak and a woman just inviting herself to my table when I was out to dinner by myself.
For the chicken fried steak?
No, I was at Ted's Montana Grill.
In Montana.
In Montana.
Oh, wow. That's like going to the Applebee's in wherever the fuck Applebee's is.
Right. It's like going to Applebee's in Appleton or some shit.
Appleton or wherever it's from.
I don't fucking...
It's like going to Chili's in Chile. I don't know.
It was Bozeman. It was like Ted's Montana Grill was the best choice of like the Applebee's.
Dude, I am not slamming. I like Ted Montana Grill. I think they actually have pretty decent food. I
like the buffalo. I like the buffalo steak a lot.
Oh yeah, it's fucking dope, man. Do not fucking count Ted Turner out of anything. This shit is top notch. It is top notch.
We have sung his praises twice now. We like pro WCW, pro Ted's Montana Grill.
Oh right, because that was on TNT, right?
Yeah, it was a Ted Turner product also.
That's right. Fuck yeah, I forgot about that. I just made my girlfriend watch Beyond the Mat.
Oh hell yeah!
That is an incredible documentary. I mean, if you don't know nothing about wrestling, it is spectacularly good. Like, you just see all the pieces. You understand how it all fits. You understand the game coming up, the game going on, and the after game. And
Terry Funk's poor knees.
Oh, Terry Funk's knees and Jake the Snake's crack habit. It's like, I don't even know anymore. It's like, what's going on? And every time I watch it, I see something new.
Speaking of wrestling docs, have you ever watched Vice's Dark Side of the Ring?
No, what's that?
It is a weekly wrestling doc, and it's almost more of a true crime doc than it is wrestling.
Really?
They've done 12 of them.
Where are they at? On YouTube or something?
They're on YouTube. They're on Vice TV primarily.
Okay. I can get Vice TV. I think I have it on the app.
Yeah, it's called Dark Side of the Ring. It's really good. Like this season they did a two-parter about the Benoit murders.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that. Chris Benoit, yeah. The Wolverine, dude.
Yep. They did.
Oh, man.
And then the next episode was The Life and Crimes of New Jack.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about New Jack. These are good.
Oh.
All right, I'm going to have to check this out.
And I knew who New Jack was. I was an ECW mark back in the day.
Right.
I was unaware of how crazy New Jack shit was. Like, he is, while they're interviewing him, just talking about how much cocaine he used to do in the locker room and drinking screwdrivers on camera. And he's like, yeah, I tried to kill that guy.
Like, literally, I did try to kill him.
There was spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this doc yet, but I forgot the wrestler's name, but him and this wrestler were supposed to take a bump, like off a high fall. As they're about to take the bump, the guy goes to back out. They fall wrong.
Oh, shit.
The guy falls on New Jack. Like, New Jack gets, head migraines to this day from it. Was hospitalized over it because they took the fall wrong.
Fuck.
So, a year later, they have a rematch, and they're doing another high fall. New Jack legitimately tasers the guy. And then for real. And then throws him off the scaffolding and tried to throw him out of the ring. And if he had not landed in the ring, he would have died.
Whoa.
And they ask him during the doc, like, do you regret doing that? He's like, I regret that I didn't fucking die.
Wow.
Just no remorse.
Dude, that's the funny thing. Lifetime movies and wrestling is they're the same. That revenge shit is long seated. Somebody holds on to that shit for that long and it's just waiting for their moment to strike. It's I'm going to become your nanny and live in your house, and then I'm going to kill your family because I'm your long lost sister. Whoa!
Except this shit is real life.
It's real. I know. That's what I'm saying. They're all kind of based in this weird sense of revenge reality. I grew up in wrestling with oh God, what was it? It was the Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes era. What was that?
Well, that's WCW.
Yeah, I guess it was WCW, but I thought it had a name right before it was
NWA.
I thought maybe it was NWA.
Yeah, the National Wrestling Alliance. That's when it was all the territories.
Yeah, it was the territories because that was the thing that I thought was so cool because you could watch Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes go at it, and then they would be like, "Coming to Conway High School, Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair," and like the pageantry and the fucking thing. And I remember my granddad, God rest his soul, would let me watch wrestling every Saturday, and I was so into it. And he was like, "This shit is fake and bullshit. I can't believe." And then he would watch it so much with me that he did the suspension of disbelief. And then he was like, "The fucking bushwhackers were getting ready to fucking pin this guy. And I think the ref's in on it because he doesn't see it," and he's like, now he's totally like on the other side of the moon, like he's like all in on the wrestling. And then I was probably like a teenage boy kind of like getting out of doing the wrestling thing. But it was just really funny to watch me and my granddad just kind of do this role reversal of I was really into it and he wasn't. And
Well, they get you so emotionally invested. I have not been an actual wrestling fan since maybe 2000, 2001.
Mm.
The fall of WCW and when the WWE became a monopoly,
Yeah.
I completely lost interest. The writing became horrible. The plot just wasn't engaging. And
Right.
I also got into MMA at that point. So it was like
shit was getting real.
Yeah, like the parallels between pro wrestling and MMA, like there's a lot of parallels. And it's like, oh, on the combat side, this is really real. You can't predict who's going to win this. You're like, well, that guy's
Right.
the favorite. Oh, that guy just head kicked that guy unconscious.
Yeah, in one shot in 2 seconds. you never played on that. And yeah, I think like what I liked about it was I always, and I still to this day, do not like WWE, WWF. Not a fan. I mean, it's a very polished product. And I think what I liked about ECW and WCW and stuff was that it wasn't. It almost felt like the common man's wrestling. Like it wasn't this like big staged pyrotechnic debut. It was just like these, and they weren't even like super athletic back then. They were just kind of like some dudes that were sort of built. Like Ric Flair wasn't like ripped or anything. I mean, he was good.
Well, and by the end of his career,
Rhodes,
Rick looked like a bag of jelly.
he really like a tan bag of jelly,
like in a cape.
In a cape. Oh yeah. And he had that pot belly from the cirrhosis probably or something. Yep. All his drinking, and I love like Dusty Rhodes and like, but I felt like WWF at the time had the more kind of the character, the Iron Sheik, the Hulk Hogan American versus the Russian shit and it was just like,
it was cartoony.
It was so cartoony. It just didn't make sense. But like you could relate to Ric Flair being the cocky asshole, and you could relate like to the Boogie Woogie Man. I don't even know if you know who these people are, but there was this dude. The Boogie Woogie Man was like this old fucking dude, and he was crushing wrestling, and he was so awesome. And I felt like that's my uncle or something. I don't know. It felt like so much more relatable to me as a kid than these oily, steroided superstars of wrestling,
Yeah.
the Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors, like this real like thing.
Like you go over to the WWF side, it's like, oh hey, the Undertaker is fighting the Big Boss Man. Like so I have an undead zombie guy fighting a corrections officer. Cool.
It's like a video game.
Right. Well, believe me, to this day, some of the WWF video games are some of my favorite video games to play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're great. I think the one that was on Nintendo 64 where you could build your own wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
And what is that one? I
so there's two of them. There was, they're made by THQ. There was WrestleMania 2000 and then No Mercy.
I think it was WrestleMania 2000 that I really, really enjoyed. That shit was fun as fuck.
Oh, yeah. No, it was all about making your own wrestlers and making them fight each other.
Yeah. And like taking it to the fucking mat, dude.
Oh, yeah. To this day, I still have a copy of, well, I actually still have WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, but my N64 isn't working properly at the moment.
Oh, no.
But I also have a copy of SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, where me and my friends like used to just make custom wrestlers. And on the 360, you used to be able to import MP3s. And one of the coolest things that they implemented in 08 was you could use your MP3 files as your wrestler's intro music.
No, really?
Yeah.
That is dope. That is so fucking rad.
So,
all right. So, what were some of your entrance musics?
Let's see. I had one character that came out to Demon Borger's Burn in Hell.
Oh shit, yeah.
Let's see. Had one like high flyer character come out to Iron Maiden's Aces High.
Nice.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of course, my own character came out to Prong's Rude Awakening. Because it's just got a slow, heavy tempo, and
right.
like I always made my walkout real slow, just like really slow, methodical, like
right.
Another rude awakening. Yeah. But yeah, there's like 20 characters. Then we all like imported MP3s for all their intro music, made the intros.
That's so badass.
We often would just pit our characters and let the computer control them and just watch our custom-made characters fight.
Let the statistics work themselves out. Yeah. That's fucking awesome. Oh man, like I guess when I came up in the era of video games, I was kind of on my way out at the WrestleMania 2000 phase and GoldenEye and all that shit. But me and my cousin every summer would get together and we loved baseball. Like I still love baseball, but you never could get a baseball game that had all the teams or like or you could control it or do whatever you want. So Baseball Simulator 1000 came out for the Super NES, and that was, you could actually make your own league and like put in dude, we had come up with adjustments for every player and like, but this one's a little bit better than this one. And like me and my cousin played 162 games season one summer with our teams respectively. Jesus. Like, oh man, but we would literally go outside and play and fake wrestle and play baseball, and then we go inside and run a couple games and be like, oh, who's in the lead for home runs? Like Tecmo Bowl. Remember Tecmo Bowl?
Oh, I remember Tecmo Bowl. I also remember the original Baseball Simulator for NES.
Yeah. The 1000 had the adjustments to it. That was awesome. But I played both. But the Super NES one was super dope.
I never played the Super Nintendo one, but the original Nintendo one, I remember if you could crank your player's stats. Excuse me. And you could pretty much make it like if they touch the ball, they're hitting a home run.
Oh yeah. And there were some ballparks that were so small.
Well, and
like people were just jacking them out of there all the time.
Well, and plus that was the game where like you had crazy specialty pitches like that exploded and.
Oh yeah, because you could steer the pitch. You could be like, oh yeah, there was one. Yeah, you could do the like crazy.
Yeah,
shit.
The bomb ball, or there was one of the hits where like if the batter hit it, like the line drive would just knock fielders out of the way. And
right.
That game was wild.
Me and my cousin would take turns. Like I would have a pitcher that I was really good with, so I would pitch all the pitching, and then he would do all the hitting, or we would like back and forth. And so I would pitch the game, and then he would fucking bat the game and shit like that. Oh my god, we were so into this fucking Baseball Simulator 1000. It became like our life. And same with my friend that I went to go visit in Minnesota when I got into Magic. We would play Tecmo Bowl entire seasons of football, and we would try to take each other. And he had a Super NES in his room, and I had one in the living room, and he would take the game cartridge and play his game and then bring it back to me. He's like, hey man, you got a game. Or if like leave him a note and be like, hey man, you got to play your game. The yards right now. I'm like, oh shit, well, I'm going to fucking make Warren Moon or whatever. Cause I love the Oilers. Fucking outpass your shit, you know? And then we would, the goal would be to like make us be in the Super Bowl, which happened all the time, you know, if you're good at the game. So it would just be this culmination of these giants, you know, which was so amazing.
See, I feel like video games back in the day when you had to play them on the couch together really became much more of a social thing and really brought people together.
Yeah, I agree.
And now,
I absolutely agree.
Now that like everything's online play, there's so few on the couch games. There's no reason for people to get together to play video games.
No, yeah, because you can just dial it in. You know, like I had started getting in the Halo and Halo 2, and when Halo 2 had their online stuff, I got to be really good at Halo 2. I loved it, but also kind of hated it because the anonymity of the other players allowed them to be assholes, and there wasn't like a camaraderie kind of thing, you know? And I think if you're playing a game in a same place with somebody, you're not going to be an asshole.
Or if you are, people will give you shit about it.
Oh yeah. Because it's kind of harder to be an asshole to somebody's face than it is to just be an asshole on the internet.
Well, but also when it's in like a group of friends, it's funny when you're being an asshole. Like, got you, bitch.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because you know who it's coming from. But
exactly.
It's not.
It's not malicious. You're just.
Yeah.
It's the spirit of competition at that point, because me and my friends used to like lug 3 CRT TVs up to someone's apartment and bring 3 more Xboxes and have 16-player Xbox tournaments.
Oh shit!
Like over a LAN.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So you'd have,
dude. I miss that shit. Like I miss it and I don't miss it. I think it's like definitely bygone era stuff. And now games are so realistic. They just are too realistic. I don't even know what to think about them anymore. And so I don't think I've actually played a video game like that in probably like a decade. I have zero interest. Like I want a simple game, like a Mario Kart or something just really direct, which is, I'm hugely in love with the resurgence of barcades.
Oh yeah.
Cause I just want to go and I want to play NBA Jam. The first one, not even the tournament edition. I want the OG fucking NBA Jam. And, I love that game so much. I think I'm undefeated. Everybody who tries to play me, I've only been beaten by the lead singer of Tiger's Jaw once, but I've beat him many other times. And then the bass player from Modern Baseball.
What's your team?
I like the Detroit Pistons. See, quiet team, but it's got the kind of duality where I play Isaiah Thomas and I can run threes and I'm fast, but I'm weak. Bill Laimbeer can play all that fucking defensive shit, and we can just like I'll fucking run circles around. I beat the whole game. I've beaten the entire game on coin play. And I think I did it by only losing 2 games, which was awesome. But my record on that machine, I played it so much, was 130-4, counting the other 2 losses that I had taken from my friends. But the night that I went to, that Donald Trump won the election, I went to Columbia, South Carolina to see the brand new Modern Baseball and the Front Bottoms. And the Modern Baseball and the Front Bottoms are really, really good friends of mine. I've met brand new a few times, but Columbia, and they were going to Virginia. They had a day off in between. They're like, hey, why don't we just come to Raleigh and hang out? We have nothing else to do. So Modern Baseball and Front Bottoms drove their tour buses to Raleigh. And then I took them around town, which ended up, we were in a barcade. It was so sad because everybody was upset Donald Trump was the president that no one was out. And so, which was awesome for us because we were just trying to kill time. So me and the bass player, he had beat me last time. I beat him the first time. This was our tiebreaker game, election day or day after election day. We were like doing it. And I say he cheats. You tell me if you think he cheats. He uses the computer to shoot for him a lot of times. And I'm like, that's kind of like not cool. Like you should take your own shots. He's like, but I'm controlling when he shoots. I'm like, yeah, but you're not. Like, that's fine. Like,
see, and by the letter of the law, I don't believe he's cheating because it is within the confines of the game.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's cheating. It's just lame. You can't really like chalk up a win if you're going to put your clutch shot on the computer player. But, you take that shot, goddammit.
Right.
But, he goes up by 2 points with 1.2 seconds left in the game.
Woo.
And he's like, he plays with the Utah Jazz. And I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? And I'm like, what am I going to do? Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer's inbounding. I just hit shoot and turbo all at the same time. And Isaiah Thomas slings it out of his hand from the inbound spot on one end of the court. And it hits nothing but net to win the game on the exact opposite end of the court. And I ran the length of this empty barcade screaming my head off because it was the most, it might as well have been like I was at like one of those clutch shots in the NCAA tournament. Cause it was just like, so here we go. Like and then it went in and I was like, what? So that was like my most amazing NBA Jam story.
I bet he was fucking upset.
Oh, I bring it up every fucking time I see his ass. I'm like, hey, remember that fucking shot? You remember that? You cheater. That's what you get for cheating. That's what I tell him.
Shot heard around the world.
Isaiah Thomas is just like so funny. And then so I get everybody into those games. I got them all into bubble hockey, which I love. I love a really good bubble hockey game. Oh yeah, and shooting games. I love shooting games. I can shoot games all day long. I love shooting games. They're my absolute favorite.
See, that is one thing home systems have never done well.
No, you can't. You just have to have an arcade game to do.
Right. The rail shooters. Yeah, an FPS is great on the controller, but like the rail shooter, just pop, 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 pop. You know, you can't. You have to do that in an arcade.
Oh yeah. Have you been to North Carolina before?
Mm-hmm. A lot, actually.
You been to Asheville?
I have.
They have an arcade museum there now.
Nice. All I saw was
it's a pinball museum, but it's kind of an arcade museum, and you pay $15 and play all the games.
Nice.
They have games I haven't seen in forever. They have Dragon's Lair.
Oh, that coin eater. Jesus.
Dude, but imagine you pay $15, you can just play it and just figure it out because they don't charge you anything to play the game. You're just 15. So I was showing this to my girlfriend. She's never seen this game. It's before she was born. And I was like, man, when I was like 12, like I would take my $5 and I would play the shit out of this game. No concept how the fucking thing worked. I would just be like, I got to the next part. Whoa, how did I do that? And then you have to memorize it. She got so obsessed with it, she didn't want to leave because we were figuring it out, you know. She was like, this game is so fucking rad. I'm like, you see why? It's just like, feed me, Seymour, feed me. Like, feed me your coins. You know?
That game is such the quarter thief.
Oh, I got it now. I get it. I can do the game, but it will fuck you because I've played it enough now at that fucking. I've played it more in Asheville that one day than I ever could afford to have played it as a child in the 80s. But it inverts itself sometimes. So sometimes when you play the game, you go left, right, left. And then the next time you play the game, it's the exact mirror version. So you have to go all the opposite directions. So like you get trained, it lets you go through it a few times the right way. And then it just flips it on a mirror and it looks exactly the same, but you have to do the opposite thing. Oh my God. Painstaking. And then she got to parts that I could never even figure out. I'm like, how the fuck? How did you pull the sword out? What the fuck? How did you kill that thing? Like, what is going on? She's like, I don't know. I was just fucking doing the thing. Like, I'd be like, yep, that was 12-year-old me, man. I killed some shit with the sword. It's crazy.
So
what's your favorite classic arcade game? Go.
My classic favorite, WWF WrestleFest.
Oh, that is a great fucking game. That's true.
That is probably the best. Besides, like the ones where you can make your own wrestlers, that is the best wrestling game ever made.
Oh yeah, on a stand-up.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because hey, you get the unique flavor of every one of the fucking wrestlers. They have their finishing moves.
Yep.
There's, the pageantry. The Royal Rumble mode was just a quarter sync.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Other classics. I mean, I was a big fighting game kid back in the day.
So Mortal Kombat.
Street Fighter 2. A lot of money spent on those. Yeah. There was
Mortal Kombat changed the fucking game.
Oh, yeah, it did.
I mean, Mortal Kombat was like, I don't even know how to explain it to anybody who had only seen shitty video games. And then Mortal Kombat comes out and you're like, what is this? It's like the Dragon's Lair of fighting games. It was like, you didn't understand it. You didn't know how to do all these fucking moves. You just had to go in there and be like, how did I just shoot fucking fire? What the fuck was that all about?
Or the first time, you see a fucking fatality.
Oh my God. You would just lose your mind and bow down to that person. You're like,
right. Kids these days, get my boomer coat on here. Kids these days will never understand what it was like to not have the internet to answer these fucking questions for you. You're just in an arcade.
Shit out.
You either had to watch some other kid play, experiment with all this experimentation is costing you money.
Oh yeah. Every single fucking time. Every single time. And I don't even know how somebody came up with the idea of the fatality to do it. I mean, the only one that I could do, this is before all the stuff came out, was hitting the dude off the fucking bridge into the spikes, which in and of itself, baller.
Yep.
Straight up baller. But when it starts ripping people's heads off and shit, and somebody did that, and I was like, what? Wow. I just felt so like I had powerless. You're just like, I don't even know what the fuck just happened.
Yeah, it was such an insult to injury when another player did that to you.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're just like, son of a bitch. Like, get over here, whatever. That shit was fucking so rad.
Yeah. I don't know how I learned them. I still remember a handful of like the commands to say it's like Sub-Zero's decapitation was forward, down, forward, high punch.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpion was block, up, high punch. Like, I don't know why I know this. Why do I have this useless knowledge in here?
I could do the moves. I couldn't do the fatalities. I don't even remember what they were. The moves I could still do. Like if I'm playing, they'll come back to me if I see it. But I can't do the fatalities and all the cool shit anymore. It's like, also I don't care. Like I'm not a violent person like I was in my 20s and teens and stuff. So it's like, I'd rather be like, I just want to play like something comforting. Like I don't know, what's a comfort game for me? 1942 with the airplanes, pretty fucking badass. Dragon's Lair. I don't know, like pinball. Pinball's a nice fucking chillax.
Hell yeah.
Chillax deal. Yeah, I like NBA Jam. That's just my shit. I will play that any chance I get. If I see it around, I'll be like, oh, you want to roll? Because I had this one guy in a barcade that I recently went to. That's my friend's barcade. He was playing. He was like, oh, you want to play? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like, come on, I'll buy your game because you're gonna be upset. I'm gonna fucking whoop your ass so bad. And he was like, for real. And then when he got done, they were like, did he whoop your ass? He's like, oh fuck, he whooped my ass so bad. Because I mean, I don't know. The game's a tricky algorithm thing. You have to be like, you have to kind of manipulate the game and not be too good, but also not be too terrible. So it's like, it's a weird thing.
It is. Oh. I used to play a lot of that too. I was never all that good at it, but I played a lot of it.
I wasn't when I was younger. I am better at it now that I'm older, I guess. I have more patience for it now. I didn't then. And also it was like $1 for a fucking quarter of basketball, like, or 50 cents or whatever. It wasn't 25 cents for a quarter. It was like, to play a full game was like $4.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, what the fuck, the way I got to learn so much was my friends would all have free play Fridays or whatever. So if you came in at a certain time, so I would take time off and like get in there early and just like work all my skills and be like, all right, I'm going to fucking work this shit out. Got to make sure I'm down by this much or up by this much or pulling the trigger on these threes. I don't know.
I can't believe you have it all mapped out like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I didn't even read any books about it or anything. It was just kind of like watching the game as I played and learning like when it wasn't going my way. It would never let you, the great thing about that game that I love is it would never let you get beat terribly. Like it always, as the one players start to do good, the scales kind of do like.
Yeah, it does the rubber banding.
Mm-hmm. Which games don't do. You can run away with, like in the new tournament edition. Oh man, I can run a train on somebody. I can go up by 35 points and just crush them because it doesn't have that. They took that algorithm out.
Well, it makes sense for when they want you to dump quarters in, because if you're just destroying people, they're not going to want to play again.
Right, but if you kept it close where you're like, I need to go.
Right, I need to drop another quarter in this motherfucker because I got you this game.
Yeah.
You barely won. I got you.
Yeah, exactly. Or like when I was playing the first time I beat my the friend that I beat with the long cord shot. The first game we played, we went into double overtime and we ran out of quarters. Because we played the full game, it went into overtime. The overtime went into double overtime because we tied again. We were like, somebody give us quarters. Like, we can't leave to go to the change machine. So we're like, people were like, oh my God. And so we had this crowd around us, like watching us play this fucking game, which was super rad. But, look, we did wrestling, old school video games, near-death plane accidents, a myriad of movies, some science. I mean, this is a good bar conversation.
This is what we aim for. And it's
I know.
Actually about that time for last call.
Yeah, what is last call? What is that?
Well, it's where you can tell the audience where to find your magic, where to find you on social media, all that fun shit. We're wrapping this motherfucker up.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, on social media, I'm Casey Magic, CASEYMAGIC. That's Instagram, the Twitter, Facebook. I do a Facebook Live Magic Monday every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's been pretty cool. We get a lot of fans. Some of the Joyce Manor guys came last week, which was kind of neat to see my friends pop up, and people from all over the world that I've met has been kind of crazy. So hopefully some more interesting people also show up. It's a fun time, and it's hard for me because normally I do this in person. So having to develop magic where you don't have an engagement, you just have to kind of do magic is self-serving act in a way.
When you do it on Facebook Live, can you at least see the chat?
Yeah, I see the chat running all the time, but it's also on a 30-second delay.
Gotcha.
I feel like Bruce Willis in 12 Monkeys. But yeah, so it's Casey Magic for that. I'm Magician Michael Casey. You can find me anywhere. I'm a pretty friendly guy. Come have a drink when the COVID's over.
Right.
And in the meantime, I'm trying to find a cure for you. So, we'll do it all up.
Yeah, please do, so I can stop having stupid arguments with my friends.
That's not going to happen until they die or it goes away. So, I mean,
Well, if you find a vaccine, we'll find something else to have a stupid argument about.
That's true. They are working on it very, very hard.
Do you think it's going to be within 2020? 2022?
Maybe 2021. It's just vaccines. So it's always very funny to me, and not to leave it on this point, but it's a good point to leave it on, where people complain about why would I take that drug if all the side effects are worse than the damn shit I got already? And they always well, don't take this, you'll have insomnia, blah, blah, blah. And it's well, they do drug studies to have all these different things that can happen to people to take it, because everybody and every human being is different. And it's really funny to me that people won't take the shit that they could be taking to help their health, but are so willing to shortcut all that process to get a vaccine through the door that has to go through all the same rigorous tests to make sure it's safe and efficacious and it's good for you, and have all the same labels on it. But they're nope, I want it now. It's like a Veruca Salt mentality of, I want it now. People
are also drinking bleach, so.
Or they're being told to drink it. That's true. But in sunlight.
Yeah, but sunlight's not bad for you.
Oh, yeah, true.
I mean, that's fine. If you want to tell people to go get some vitamin D in their life, cool. So bleach, on the other hand, the fact that if you're being told to do it or not, the fact that poison control cases for bleach are doubling in a lot of markets.
I've heard. I don't know if it's verified, but I've heard.
I've heard as well. Just maybe just unfounded internet bullshit that I'm spouting right now. But I am all in favor, if you want to drink bleach, that you drink bleach.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Please, drink a lot of it.
The sad part is you can actually drink bleach and be okay, because it's in your water already. Chlorine is. That's how they take the ammonia out of the water. So the ammonia kills everything, and then they overdouse it with bleach to make ammonia chloride, which settles out of the water, and the water comes to the top, but there's extra chlorine in the water. So you can drink it. It's not advised, but there is amount of it that you can actually drink. But
no,
it's not going to do anything.
Just chug a whole bottle.
Chug it.
If you want to drink bleach, shotgun it like you're at a frat party.
Just line up a bunch of shots, or one of those
beer. No, you gotta fucking beer bong the bleach.
Oh, beer bong it. Okay.
Beer bong the bleach.
Or you can butt chug the bleach. I don't know.
Butt chug the bleach. Whatever you do, if you are so determined to drink bleach, consume as much as you humanly can.
Go for it. Yeah.
Make sure to turn your phone off before you do.
So no one can save you.
Exactly. Remember what I said about, I don't give a fuck if you do things that only negatively affect yourself?
That's true. You don't want to stop them. That's how I am. I'm oh, you want to reopen your business to no one? By all means, knock yourself out.
No,
and then you're going to complain that no one showed up.
That negatively affects people, because your employees lose their unemployment benefits when they can go back to work.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even really think about that, but that is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true. And if they can't work because they don't have business, it's what's the point? I don't know.
Yeah, especially if you're in a small market in a restaurant where they make $2 something an hour plus tips. If they're forced to give up their unemployment benefits, which have plus $600 a week from the federal government right now. So even if they're making 100 plus the 600 is more than $274 an hour plus no tips.
Yeah, at whatever a fourth of the amount of service that you would normally get anyway, because you're not going to be able to have as many people packed into a restaurant like you used to. So you're actually going to be making even less, actually going back to work. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it just fucks a lot of people. The forced quick reopening just will fuck a lot of people. And I really don't want to leave it on that downer note. So as I'm saying, drink bleach, drink a lot of bleach.
Get some sun.
Get some sun. That I actually am all for. And if you're unaware, you can find me at Matt Slayer on Twitter. No, you can find me at Matt Slayer on Instagram. I've been drinking a little bit. You can find me at Matt_Slayer on Twitter. Matt Effin Slayer on Facebook. You can find the podcast at And Now We Drink on Twitter. And Now We Drink _ on Instagram. And until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.
Drink some bleach.